corners and whatever. You want people who are dominant in the air, and clear. That's why Martin signed Bobo Baldi all those years ago as somebody who was superb at that. And look, it's one game. That's all it is for Celtic. But it was an important performance from him tonight, and he looked very strong. Be an interesting decision now on Sunday for Martin.
It will indeed, because Trusty will be available in the Cup. But let's talk back about this game and the goals, which came in the first half, the opener for Celtic. Another defender getting in the action, and Kieran Tierney's becoming a bit of a goal threat these days for Celtic. We touched on it at half-time, but it's a really good finish.
Yeah, he's obviously anticipating a scale. It's a bit unorthodox with the flick on, but like we said at half-time, he gets that yard on the Aberdeen defence. I think it's Olasanya picking him up, and then Kevin Nisbet just switches off for half a second, and there's enough for Kieran to steal in. Get a bit of, no matter what set piece, you shouldn't have an attack with all that space in your 6-yard box, so they've got to defend that better.
And when you look at Celtic, they're not as fluid in the final third as they have been, and that we've known them to be in the past. So they may well have to rely on set pieces, and that's well worked.
That's worked on. I know he's not planned for the flick. He's obviously flicked the header to flick on, but he's improvised. He's managed to get his leg up. He's put it back into an area where there's going to be bodies in there. Kevin Nisbet switches off and then tries to blame Malloy as well, I think. But fair play to Kieran Tierney. What's that? His 5th league goal this season as well. He's popping up in areas. He's seems to be in terms of creating chances for his teammates as well, but it always helps when you've got players, especially in that full-back area, scoring goals, chipping in, doing their bit, because I think it's important, when you look at Celtic right now, the forward line isn't firing on all cylinders. You're then looking at Negrin, who's chipped in with some goals, but Kieran Tierney from that left-back area obviously scored at Ibrox at weekend, comes out here and gets another goal tonight. There was a period of time where a lot of people were questioning his role within the team as well, but in recent weeks, in terms of assists, and then obviously a couple of goals as well. So, he can be pleased with his evening's work as well.
Yeah, and Martin O'Neill spoke about wanting the fast start. Celtic, over the last number of games, there's been a few games where they've gone behind, had to chase games. They get the fast start, and then they let Aberdeen back into it.
Yeah, he'd have been pleased with the start. But, it was just careless, really, from Scales. They keep it alive well, do Aberdeen in the box, but shot block there from Arthur, and when that's popped back, Scales, he's just too keen to try and get to the ball. And Olasanya, I think Chris said at half-time, he's spot on. He's just looking to get his body in and draw the contact he does do, and Nisbet tucks it away nicely.
Any question on the contact at all? I'm just trying to cover all bases. No, you can see there is contact.
Initially, first instinct was, that looked quite soft, but Scales has to win the ball there. He doesn't, and if Olasanya gets his body in, which he did do, and Scales kicks his calf, that's a penalty. It's an easy one to give in the end, but he gave it straight away, and we all had to look 2 or 3 times. So fair play to Nick Walsh.
I think from a striker's point of view as well, it's clever.
Yeah.
A defender, when balls come in your box, they're going to try and clear it, and they're going to swing a leg at it. So as soon as he comes in there, and Olasanya knows, if I can get my body in here, he'll anticipate that Scales has to kick through the ball, and that's exactly what happens. He puts his leg in there, straight in the back of him. It might be minimum contact, but it's still enough for him to go down. And I thought Nick Walsh called it correctly. Yeah,
we spoke at half-time about trying to grab the green by the scruff of the neck, and to be fair to Aberdeen, they came out at the start of the second half and they put a lot of pressure on Celtic, and Sinisalo pulled off a fantastic save to keep Celtic level.
Yeah, it was at a crucial time in the game where, like I said, I thought Aberdeen came out with a better team to start with the second half, and obviously got a lot more support in and around the box when the balls were coming. It's a great delivery from Mitchell Frame. He spent a lot of the second half in Celtic's half, so obviously positive from an Aberdeen point of view. It's a great header from Kevin Nisbet, and it's a fantastic save. I know it's not right in the corner, but to be fair, you don't care as long as the keeper keeps the ball out in there. For me, I wouldn't be too technical. I'm sure he'll analyse that, but the most important thing from his point of view is that he's got a cross, he's moved his feet, and he's managed to tip the ball over the bar.
Yeah, it was a big save, because you felt as if Aberdeen had got there. We were speaking about it during the game. The game was flat. It might have just given Aberdeen that lift just to carry on, but it wasn't to be. It was a big save. There's been a lot spoken about Celtic's goalkeepers in recent weeks, but I think Sinisalo's come in, didn't really have much to do at Ibrox on Saturday, wasn't at fault for any of the goals, but that there could be a very, very important save in the context of this season.
Undroppable. Yeah. He is undroppable
at the moment.
But not at the moment.
I'm saying with his performances that he's put in.
Solid, more than solid against Stuttgart. Didn't really notice him at Ibrox. That was a good thing. Big save tonight.
Yeah, really big save, because Celtic weren't really creating a huge number of chances, but the substitutions made a difference again. The substitutes combined beautifully, and it is the 12th goal that Celtic have scored by a sub this season, which is the most in the league, and it is that man Benjamin Negron again.
Yeah, I mean, Celtic have had an incredible bench this season, and James Forrest impact at the weekend, impact again there, and the finish first time round, I didn't give Negron enough credit for the finish. Araujo's patient. I wondered whether he could get a shot off, but then James Forrest puts it into an area, and he just lets it run across his body and deflects it. I mean, at first it did look like he, may have just drifted into an offside position, but there he's clearly onside. But the finish is so clever. He's such an aware player there, knows where that side of the goal is, and just lets the ball drift onto that left foot. Brilliant finish.
I think when you look at Benjamin Negron, I don't know if we've got time to go back on that goal there, but if you look, I mean, he is in between the midfield role and a striker, because
with this season, would you ever look at Negron as being?
I think it was a couple of weeks ago where Celtic were underperforming in that area, but I don't think he is. When you look at him there, a lot of his movement, and I think why a lot of defences struggle to pick him up is because he's always on the move, and it's very difficult to do that. Whereas I think as a striker, you might then try to back in, you might be standing in an area there. I mean, he's had 3 movements there, and not one Aberdeen player's got near him because he's always on the move. But I think he's better coming from that deeper area. But you've seen it there. A lot of people would switch off when they didn't get the ball at their feet. All of a sudden he's on the move, and then the natural instinct of that forward kicks in. I'm going to get in an area where if this ball comes across, I can get it in the back of the net. It's not an easy finish either. I mean, it's a fantastic finish. And again, I mean, what's that, 15 goals this season? From a midfielder in the league, that is outstanding. And you wonder, where would Celtic be without him? There's been a few weeks, a couple of the Falkirk games, where he scored goals. There's another match winner tonight. You've just asked, where would Celtic be without Benjamin Negron?
His goals have been important, but I also get the debate. When he does play in midfield, Celtic often don't control it. And you ask, could he play as a number 9? It'd be more as a false 9. The problem is, as a number 9, he doesn't have that variation in terms of he's never going to outpace defenders in behind, which makes him predictable to play against. But it's very strange because he does go missing, as he did in the first half at Ibrox at the weekend. But he does chip in with with a lot of goals and important goals.
In a way, though, does that help him? I mean, I know, like it goes missing with the blindside runs. People don't see him. He might just arrive in the box.
I think he works off other people. So even looking at the goal there, if he's a striker, I don't think they necessarily score that goal because it's Dizan's run initially that takes Gavin Malloy in and creates space on the far side. So see, having a natural striker to work off. So Dizan makes that run, and then it drops the defenders, allows Benji to obviously go into that little bit of space that he eventually scores from. So I don't know, I've not seen him. I think he's played front for Sweden, hasn't he? But I think what he's doing in terms of impacting games, he's doing something very positive for Celtic. So why would you change it?
I think it's an art. That running from midfield and not being picked up is an art. Yeah. We've seen it before, and we speak about people with that third man running, getting in there. I know that's his goal tonight. His goal tonight isn't a third man run, but he's in an area where he can affect things. And sometimes when you go and link the play and you want to be all integrate, we'll get it out eventually. But you can get caught up in it. He's in an area where he can get the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, and he did that tonight. A player who has struggled in front of goal is Daizen Maeda. No goals in his last 12. He had a huge opportunity when Jack Milne slipped. And is he just maybe lacking a little bit of the confidence that he had last season when he was so prolific?
Yeah, the two guys are obviously strikers. They'll be able to tell you about it, me, in terms of when you're in form and everything you seem to hit goes in. But I know he's missed the chance, but I still think there's a lot of positive to Daizen's play. He's never been an out-and-out goal scorer.
Your two faces there winced.
So I'm going to be positive. I see him every day. I'm not going to be negative towards him. No, he brings an all-round performance to Celtic. Not necessarily performs all the time, but he brings something to Celtic that nobody else can. And like I said, even the goal, I don't think many of the strikers, many of the players on the pitch make that original run when the ball comes in. That allows Benji to get into that space. So Daizen's willingness to run is a massive positive for Celtic. He's never been the most prolific, but I think last season was obviously a bit of an outlier.
Yeah, I mean, I think last season everything he hit went in the back of the net. There's no getting away from it.
Players sort of snatching at an opportunity when he's not
got that
comfortable position.
It's someone going through lacking in confidence.
Yeah.
And I think I'll just get a touch on it, I'll just get a shot away, and I always think when you're struggling, aim for the goalkeeper, because 9 times out of 10 you won't hit him, but he will be in the middle of the goal if you aim for him. You look at that there, he's trying to be so precise, put it away in the far corner. It's an acute angle to try and get it in that far post. If he aims for the goalie and he scuffs it the way he does, it's more chance of going in. but I mean, you can't fault his work rate. I mean, it's incredible. His finishing, I don't think, has ever been at a level that you'd expect him to score every chance he goes through. Last season, for me, it was outstanding. Everything he hit went in the back of the net. But you're probably now seeing the dies in me. It's a penalty kick. I think Alisanya does really well. To be fair, I think Celtic actually, Aberdeen keep it alive, and then that's because Kevin Nisbet's unlucky there, gets the spin. Cameron gets it back in there. Alisanya's really, really clever because he knows he's not going to get it down and be able to get a touch on it that allows him to get a shot. He puts his leg across Scales because he already can see he's going to kick through that motion, and I think Liam Scales knows as soon as you can see him there just lifting his leg there to get across, and Scales kicks. I mean, it's soft, but you can understand why it's given in Kevin Nisbet. He's been finding the back of the net recently, and if Aberdeen are going to improve between now and the end of the season, they're going to need him, and it's a perfectly taken penalty kick.
Scales seemed angry about the award, and I don't get why you look about it. It's just an impetuous challenge. He just doesn't need to commit in that moment. It's as clumsy as anything.
After sliding in there, Tanetti. Handball shout off Milne, but not really from any of the players. It's a corner.
Yeah, it looked like it came off his arm. His hands are tucked behind his back. I don't know what he can actually do there, to be honest. No, clearly came off his arm.
Natural. It's being checked by Chris Graham on VAR. We've already had one penalty in this game, converted by Kevin Nisbet, but the check is over. It has been cleared. It will be just a corner.
Yeah, well, his arm is down by his side.
Hatate. Now Araujo decided against shooting. Forrest slips it across, and Negron pokes it away. The substitutes come on to considerable effect to restore Celtic's lead, and it's a familiar goal scorer in the end in Benjamin Negron.
Oh, this is all about the pass from Hatate to spot Araujo on the right hand side, and it's no surprise that Negron's coming on and scored a goal. It's that pass there, and James Forrest, lines will be drawn. Neither's clearly offside, but he doesn't touch it. It's a close one. That pass there from Hatate just opens up the pitch.
Well, they are drawing the lines on this one, and there'll be an anxious, nervous wait for Celtic to see if it counts.
He looks as if he's ahead of it, but it's impossible to tell with the angle. You just see the left leg of Malloy. Is that enough to keep Negron on?
Well, a big call this from Chris Graham on VAR. Benjamin Negron had scored in his previous 2 games against Aberdeen this season. He's waiting to find out if it will be 3 out of 3.
I think he looks ahead of it there for me.
Nick Walsh and everyone else at Pittodrie is waiting for this verdict. And the tension rises as they draw the lines at VAR HQ. We wait. It is a goal. It counts for Benjamin Negron. Onside, and Celtic